Hi everybody, here we are for What Kids Need, and today what kids need are other kids. Make sure that you always give your children more opportunity to be with other children. It's really, really important for them and also part of their social development. I know that we can play with them and we can be as a child and sit on the floor and play Lego and make funny animal noises. I know we can all do that. However, we cannot supplant what another child gives another child. If your children are in a sibling group, they will get each other, but they still need other children. So a 3-year-old really doesn't need a 7-year-old brother as much as maybe 3-year-old companion at times. Try and factor this into your life. I know lives are busy now for you if you have children. However, play dates, as we call them in Australia, I don't know what you call them around the world, are a really good idea. The child comes to your house for so many hours, and quite often the child gets taken back to the other house for so many hours, and they get to play with each other for 4 or 5 hours. It's something you can't really give them. It's something that they really need, and it's also nice for them to play with someone of their own age or height because then they can all about do the same things and they have a kind of a common understanding, and they will actually enjoy playing with one another. It also helps them form strong relationships with other people besides adults, which is important because if your children are, whether they're homeschooled or go to school, they will still have times when they need to be with other children. You can extend this out beyond your family. If you're lucky enough to have lots of cousins, your children will have other children very often to play with. However, I still think it's important to have people who aren't part of your group. So if you're going to kindy and you meet some children and they want to come over and play and the mum wants to come and just have a cup of tea, or the dad, then you do that and try and make time for this. Just like you have your social life, they need their social life. And this will help them extend when they get older. They will be more comfortable socially with people. It's a little bit like, how we like to take our puppies to puppy school to get them socialised and used to other puppies. Well, in a sense, it's a variation of that. We want to get our children used to being with other children because children have different sets of rules in terms of sharing and what they want to play and what they want to do. And this will actually dictate how well the children get on together. You can take them to parks and the beach and museums and different places, playgrounds, but you can also have them just come and have them be at home. Usually children don't start sleeping over till they're maybe 5, 6, but you'll have to just see what your kids are like. And sleepovers are good too, because it's a whole new dimension for a child to have someone, their friends, sleep overnight. Of course they don't sleep, but that's another story. Make sure you ask your children which child they also want to have over. Don't just assume. By assume, I mean maybe your best friend has a child who's the same age as your child. Don't assume that those two children actually want to do a play date. Sometimes some children don't get on, or they don't like each other, or one doesn't like the other, and therefore if you push that, it won't work. You have to let the child to decide who they're going to have come to spend the time with them, or whose house they're comfortable in. If your child does not have a good vibe about that house, if they don't want to go and be left there, if they don't want to stay, please believe them. They will be picking something up. Often there's some kind of abuse, maybe domestic abuse, or there's something unsavoury in the house, and you might not find out at the time, but you'll find out later. In those situations, the best thing to do is have the child come to your place. But if your child's not comfortable, don't make them stay. I think we as parents can be blind to the fact that our children are very intuitive, and they will get a feeling around what the energy's like there. And if they're not feeling good, there's a reason for that. So believe them. It can be a bit socially uncomfortable. However, at the end of the day, you're not there to please the neighbours or someone else's friend. You're there to make your child feel safe and comfortable and please them. And the other thing is to, what if they're picked up something that is really bad there and you leave them without you there to protect them, and something could go wrong. So if your child doesn't want to do it, don't just think it's them being a little bit socially shy or an introvert. There can actually be another reason for it. When you have children over, just be aware of food allergies And always remember to ask parents if they have any allergies. I think it's a really big question these days to ask. And don't make it too long. I think a few hours, you'll know how long. Of course, there will be different rules for teenagers, and you'll know what they are. You will have to have some safety rules, especially around cars and drugs and alcohol. There'll be different rules, but as a parent, you can negotiate with your teenager. Just make sure that it's important that we keep them safe, even though we're not with them. And I always used to have a code. I would say to my boys, if you're at this party and it starts to go really untidy and you don't want to be there anymore, give me a ring and tell me that you've got a migraine and ask me to come pick you up. And I will know that's the code for, I'm a bit in trouble here, Mum, I don't like it. And that really worked really well, because every now and then some of the parties got out of hand, and there was actually one where someone threw somebody in a fire at a party and the police came, and it was pretty untidy. Fortunately, my kids weren't at that party, because I had a bad vibe about it before they went and said, I don't think you should go to this one. Just let Mum have a way this time. And then we found out that this has happened. But see if you can set up a code with your kids like that, some kind of way they can just buzz you and save face at the party by saying they're getting a migraine and can you pick them up. And that way you will always know that they can reach out to you and maintain a good appearance from the party exit. And that's how you want to have it happen, that there'll be a way to exit from the party so they can feel always safe and protected. I think it's really important these days that our kids, even when they're out away from us as teenagers, know that we'll just come and pick them up. That makes them feel good. And even if they've messed up, tell them if you ever get in trouble and maybe you've drunk too much or you've done something you shouldn't have done, you just ring me, I'll still pick you up. I think it's really, in this day and age, good to have that transparency between your kids and you as teenagers, and that trust. Because, you know, we all mucked up when we were growing up and we all did things before we shouldn't and told our parents we were places we weren't. Trust is really important with your kids, and this extends to when they're with other kids. That's the thing I'm trying to say, that they need to be able to trust you, that you will just be there for them and listen to them and take them seriously if they want to come home or they don't want to go, and that you will also trust them enough so that if they do get in trouble that you'll turn up and be there for them to extricate them out of a tricky situation. Make the time in your schedule. Find out from your kids who they like the best and who they like spending time with, and that extends to being at someone's house. For example, if they like the kid but they really don't like their father because he's dodgy or they don't like him, you have to listen to that. So then you make more outings when he's not around and you don't send them on a week's trip with that family. These things can have big repercussions if you don't listen to your instinct. And as a parent, see if you can separate from you being overprotective to an actual real alarm bell ringing feeling. You know, when I didn't let the kids go to that particular party, I had a really bad feeling about it in the afternoon, and I actually rang someone else who I was supposed to pick up and take to the party and said, we're not going. And she said she had a bad feeling. And then the next day we found out there was that terrible accident at the party and there were drugs there, and the people who were grandparents supposed to mind them, but they didn't be there. They went out. So the whole thing went to crap, really. Trust your instincts. Instincts are usually right with people, even if we want to override them to be polite. Enjoy your kids, but don't think you're the only world they have. Extend their world with their friends, and extend your house and open your house and have lots of kids at your house. There were always kids at my house all the time. It was a little bit like a refuge, I think, my place. But that's a good thing, because in a way you're there as a support mechanism, but they're also getting the company that you can't really give them. And that's the thing, you've got to understand you can't be everything to your kids, and you definitely can't give them this part and section of their life. This is a very important part of their life, and it's also learning how to make friendships and grow relationships and take the knocks and the good parts, because if you can learn that when you're younger, you're going to be much better as an adult at coping with changing dynamics in relationships. So have some kids over, have a party or whatever you want to do, or have a movie night or however you like to do it, and talk to your children about who they like and where they feel the most comfortable. So I'll leave that with you, and enjoy your kids this week. They're so fabulous, aren't they? They're so much fun. I know they're hard work, but there's so many funny things that happen when you have kids. So I'm wishing you lots of good light, and I'll send you lots of good healing.